Last time on Building Resilience, we were comparing vulnerabilities in unexpected climate events.
We're up at the top of a hill and it goes way, way down below where you're standing right now, down to a creek. So this house isn't gonna flood.
This house isn't gonna flood, but this wall sure as heck did. We also looked at other vulnerabilities of the existing structure.
Homeowner jerry-rigged cable with a definitely not
with an
rated
eye
for
toward
outdoor
improving the durability,
fog.
energy performance, and healthfulness of the house. This time, we're gonna dig out our pry bars and sawzalls and take the first step, demolition.
So some people think that the first step to a remodeling project is demolition, and sometimes that's true, but sometimes it is deconstruction.
But before we dig into demo and deconstruction, let's look at what the heck happened with that soggy wall out back.
So whoever built this they screwed up. And so when you find funky things, you get to rename them. So right over here, we're gonna call this our tread supporter ledge detail. And this here, we're gonna call this our scupper trough water kesher keeper panel destroyer. You can see how it's forced all the water back at this panel and at the framing. Notice that the foundation is extending proud of the structure. So originally, intentionally, the foundation was proud, but notice they had the good sense to pitch this. This builder from 15 years ago did not have the good sense to pitch it. And not only that, they could have come back and, you know, saw cut this edge, put a bevel on it, something, but instead, not only did they leave it flat, but you can see this lip here is creating a nice reservoir catchment condition that's letting water head right back at the framing, and pretty significant deterioration here. Look at this, juicy, built right. Yep. Deconstruction is really important to us. We've been in the green building space for 20 plus years, and the opportunity to have materials diverted from landfill is always going to be important to us. We've got some of these casing profiles that are really unusual, and instead of cutting new knives, we're going to repurpose some of that trim in other areas of the home. But also we've got cabinets, appliances, with countertops. All of these things are going to go and have a second life somewhere else, which is really important to us. And the other thing that's really important is who does the work. And partnering with a company like Better Futures is an opportunity for us to work with a company that gives folks who might otherwise not have the opportunity for good employment to get into it, to learn the trades, and to be involved in something that's really good. So it's a chance for us to be connected to the community in that way.
Construction versus demolishing a building. With deconstruction, basically what we're doing, we're systematically dismantling reusable equipment and appliances. You know, with demolishing, what you're doing is basically taking it down. You're taking it all down to the ground so that the builder can come in and do what he needs to do. Demolishing, you're going really fast when you're doing the demolishing work. When we do deconstruction, we're taking our time, making sure that we're not damaging anything, you know, or so it's just ready.
What kinds of things are we going to be able to save here?
Oh, windows, doors, the cabinets. We're going to be, until we're going to be saving the furnace, boiler, the condensers. We won't be able to save the floor, unfortunately, you know, in here, the tile. But yeah, that's about it. The built-ins as well. Yes, we're much more than deconstruction services. What we're doing, we're helping those who, giving them a second chance, basically. You know, our men they come from, some of them are incarcerated, some are homeless, and what they're doing, they're looking to better their lives. And so we have that for them, you know. We offer them working skills as well as life skills as well, and that's very important, you know, especially for today. But, you know, as you can see, you know, our guys, they're very dedicated, they do great work, you know, very focused.
And now we're going to get really focused on the demolition part of this project.
We're in the living room, and this is all going away. This is this big old giant chimney. We're going to be taking this down from the roof all the way down to the basement. It's going to create more space in the footprint of the lower level for better rooms, and we're going to use some of that space that's going to be vacated to run new supply for air conditioning for the first floor, to run our ERV lines so we got fresh air to the bedrooms upstairs and the first floor here and the lower level. Down here, we're in the basement. We got this drop ceiling, and this is not going to be deconstruction. This is going to be demolition. We're going to remove all of this stuff, get back to proper ceiling height, get rid of this old paneling, and we're going to get to utilize Mitsubishi's new Hyperheat cassette system. This is basically the heating and cooling for this entire lower level is going to fit into the floor joists above me. So we'll get good ceiling height and all of our heating and cooling in one space.
In the sunroom, we're not going to salvage the windows.
Jesus.
Instead, we're going to chuck them in the dumpster.
All right. So this room that we're in, it's a sunroom, office room. It's one of the coolest rooms in the house. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 windows in this one room. And we're gonna get rid of this storm thing, the center divide, and put in these tall vertical windows. But notice, like, I've got these French in-swing old single pane windows with storms, and it gets really cold in Minnesota. And this is just, it's not an ideal setup because it's cold in the winter and it's super hot in the summer, and that explains why they've got this like 12-foot long cast iron radiator in here to produce enough heat to keep this room from freezing.
Like I said, these windows are going in the dumpster. On job sites that are concerned about resource management in the context of climate resilience, the dumpsters are recycle bins. And the recycle bins are recycle bins too. These are AZEK recycle bins for the PVC siding and trim that'll go up a lot later in the show. Just be careful where you put them though. Upstairs, the guys are surgically cutting away the parts that are going to go away and retaining the walls that'll be incorporated into the new structure. And because this is a show about home improvement, Steven picks up a sledgehammer and starts whacking the walls like they do on other shows. But as he demonstrates, whacking walls with sledgehammers is rarely the best way to take something apart. Usually, the best way to do it is to know where the nails are and cut them. Pry pieces apart with long pry bars and then cut them into smaller sections so they come apart easy. With the unneeded walls out of the way, they turn to the floor. This is actually the old flat roof, but it's going to be a floor when it grows up. First, they pry off the drip edge and gutter and chuck it over the side. Next, they snap a line and cut off the roof overhang. It's dismantled one piece at a time, basically in the reverse order that it was built. Saul cuts back the overhanging rafters while Steven holds the weight using some webbing. When the assembly's cut free, Steven wiggles it loose and lowers it down to the deck below. Saul gets down to cleaning up the transition of what used to be where the wall met the roof, but will now be the floor of the main suite. He's cutting away the wall sheathing to be flush with a beam that's a key piece of the crazy puzzle we're going to look at next time when we get to the framing stage.
This,
Point loads.
that's a lot of wood. It's a bunch of sticks, and they're carrying a lot of weight. If we look up, we're going to see on this side, on top of this 5.5-inch PSL, we have 2 LVLs that are picking up this half of the house, which we've opened up. This is the bearing wall, the exterior wall, and it is the bearing wall of the home. And over here we see these 6 2x4s. These 2.5 right here are picking up these 2 LVLs going to there, and these 2 guys over here are picking up this triple LVL heading that way, which is carrying the other half of the bearing side of the house. So we basically have 1/2 of the house bearing down on this wall, which has been split between 3 points, 2 little tiny points, and 1 big massive point. But it gets worse.
You're darned right it gets worse, because we're adding another beam up top and Steven's packing more wood to nail into it. All that is next time on Building Resilience.